You want to start now? All right. A warm welcome to everyone who is here. Good afternoon in Malaysia and good evening in Adelaide, Australia. And warm greetings from IUMW. I'm Alex Lee, your MC today, and I would like to welcome all of you to our exclusive webinar titled Everysense, Everywhere, Human Communication with our esteemed guests. Okay, before I introduce you to him, how is everybody doing? You know, it's a public holiday. I think you guys might be relaxing at home. And I hope that you guys will have the chance to listen to this amazing talk by our esteemed speaker, Prof. Adrian David Cheok. Okay, while waiting for more guests to arrive, I'm just going to tell a brief reenactment story about how this webinar was originated, this webinar. So it was actually a conversation on WhatsApp between Dr. Nisa and me via the FAS family WhatsApp group. Okay, so I'm just going to make it a bit interesting. Okay, so Dr. Nisa said, you know, I love Prof. Adrian. And then I replied, excuse me? And then she said, no lah. I actually love his research work on sensory marketing communication. And then I said, I love Prof. Adrian too. I love his research on edutainment. Okay, and then Dr. Nisa replied, great, then go publish a paper with Prof. Adrian. Okay, so that's a short, brief introduction to how the webinar got started. It was just a conversation. So I've looked at Prof. Adrian's research and it was very interesting and quite similar to what I'm currently researching and teaching. Okay, and then I've connected with Prof. Adrian via LinkedIn. And so, so here today, we're having this webinar. Okay, now back to Prof. Adrian. So I'm going to introduce this esteemed speaker now. So first of all, I'm going to do a brief introduction about him. He's a member of the Order of Australia, a full professor at University. So the I here is Information Management and Innovation University in Tokyo, Japan. In fact, in 2019, the Governor General of Australia, representative of Her Majesty, the Queen Elizabeth II, has awarded Australia's highest honor, the Order of Australia, to Prof. Adrian David Cheok. Okay, for his contributions to international education and research. That sounds great and amazing, right? Okay, for those of you who like to know, he obtained his education with a graduate diploma in global leadership and public policy for the 21st century at Harvard University in 2010. And he obtained his PhD in electrical and electronic engineering, University of Adelaide in 1998. So at present, he's a full professor at University, Tokyo, Japan. Okay, let's look at his major areas of research, which are multisensory internet communication, augmented and mixed reality, pervasive and ubiquitous computing, embodied media and entertainment computing. His early research work on fuzzy systems, embedded systems, and power electronics. And he has also received numerous awards for his contributions to education and research, both internationally and nationally. Now, he has successfully obtained approximately, wow, $130 million in funding for externally funded projects in the area of wearable computers and mixed reality. Okay, last but not least, he has also won numerous awards in worldwide competitions and his 67 pages long CV. Okay, I would like to quote Master Oogway in Kung Fu Panda, the movie, that there are no accidents in life, So here to give us an amazing webinar, give a big applause to Professor Adrian David Cheok. So the floor is yours, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Alex Lee, and greetings to everyone in Malaysia. One thing you might not know is that my father was born in Malaysia. He's Malaysian Chinese, and I also lived in Malaysia quite a few years when I was running a lab called Imagineering Institute in Medini in Iskandar Bateri in Johor. So it's great to virtually see you again, and hopefully see you in person sometime soon, hopefully after the coronavirus pandemic is over. So in the meantime, I will start my slides, which is here. So I will talk about the topic, as you just mentioned, about how we can communicate with all of our senses anywhere in the world using the internet. So this talk is about senses, all our 5 senses: touch, audio, visual, touch, taste, and smell, and how we can transmit these through the internet using augmented reality and using virtual reality. So first, let's talk about vision. This was the first topic that I started to work on in the late 1990s, and I was very interested to develop a augmented reality, wearable augmented reality system. So in case you're not familiar with the concept of augmented reality, virtual reality, let me just say that this spectrum from the real world that we live in to the virtual world is called mixed reality. So we have augmented reality, which is where using head-mount displays, we can see virtual objects, 3D objects, computer graphics objects in our physical environment. So we augment the physical world with the augmented digital world, digital reality. It's called AR. And augmented virtual reality is the opposite. It's where we capture people real time in 3D. You can see here this person, and put them into the virtual environment in real time. So this is the opposite of augmented reality. We call it augmented virtuality. And we have pure virtual reality, which is where the whole environment is 3D computer graphics. And now this is becoming very famous with the concept of the metaverse. And as you know, Facebook changed their name to Meta, and is going to, I think, going to put a lot of money into the metaverse, which is the purely virtual reality. So this is coming now as a commercial product. So I was working on augmented reality, and actually I was working on a system. At that time I was in the National University of Singapore, and I was working on a project for the Defence Science Technology Agency in Singapore to develop augmented reality for the soldier. So wearable computer and head-mount display, and they could see information about the military and battlefield environment in real time. And then when we built this project, I thought, wouldn't this be fantastic to make it into a video game? And so I didn't realize at the time, but I had come up with the concept of augmented reality video game, which at that time nobody really had thought about, but I thought, let's make this game, and it was called Human Pacman. I called it Human Pacman, and the idea, and it's because when I was a kid, I used to play Pacman a lot, and so I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we can become the Human Pacman? So the game basically had people in the actual real world, and their physical location corresponded to the location in a virtual world. So you had a one-to-one correlation between the video game world and the video game world and the real world. So you can see what the people could see using these head-mount displays. They could see the cookies, and they walk through the cookies and eat them like the Pacman eating the cookies in the virtual world. So we have a virtual Pacman and a real world Pacman, and they correspond one-to-one together, and this makes augmented reality gaming.
A wearable computer with a
video.
head-mounted display and various sensors which we have, which is sensing my body's position and as well as the head orientation. So we know exactly where I am and what I'm looking at. So when we do this, we can then augment the real world, which I'm in now, with the virtual world. So this Pacman world, I'm seeing it as part of the real world. I can see cookies in front of me and I'm walking through them as if I'm the human Pacman.
So it's a short video of the system in Singapore at the time. So now let me talk about sound. And sound we might think is not related to augmented reality or virtual reality, but actually before the Sony Walkman, we didn't really have an ability to have total personal sound. And the Sony Walkman brought stereo sound to our ears, so we could augment our physical world with virtual sound. And so maybe sound was the first augmented reality. And even now we can make interesting prototypes using sound, just sound only. So I want to show this example done with one of my students in Japan, and it was called a Magatana. And basically it's a virtual samurai sword game, just using sound. And I'll show you a video of the system now. and you can use it to feel like a kind of superhero. Okay, so you can see sound can be still very interesting. I'm sure you can think of many ideas where you can even use sound as a kind of way to make new kind of entertainment and games and augmented and virtual reality. So now I'll talk about the research that I've been doing with my laboratory on touch and then taste and smell. And these are the three senses which we not as much studied in computing. So it's very interesting to see how we can use virtual touch, taste and smell. So the first system I want to talk about, which was created to transmit touch. So I made this system called Poultry Internet, and it was a remote human to pet touch communication. So basically the input device had a physical doll which moved on a platform, and it could be touched, and it measured the touch pressure, and then it transmitted this to the jacket that the chicken put on, and so you can send a virtual touch on the pet through the internet. And then we extended this for human to human communication with this hugging pajama system. It was a bi-directional hug communication system, especially designed for parents and children. So for example, if the parent is at work or away from the home, he or she can squeeze a doll, and then the child will feel the squeeze on her body, his or her body, using this hugging jacket. And I'll show you a video of the system now.
The future is coming fast, and your world will never be the same.
The future, behold.
There are few things in life more comforting or intimate than a nice, big hug.
Notice the
No technology, it was awesome.
At the Mixed Reality Lab in Tokyo, Japan, Dr. Adrian Cheok and his team are making it possible to reach out and hug someone, even if that someone isn't there.
Adrian, at this Mixed Reality Lab, you have a lot of strange things going on. I can't figure this one out. It looks like a cross between a torturous life vest, rain jacket. What is going on, and who is this?
Well, this is Nancy, my student,
Hey,
and
Nancy.
mixed reality is not just about visuals. It's also about mixing all of our senses with the virtual world,
Okay.
including touch.
Touch. So this is a touch vest.
That's right. Through the internet now, you can email someone, you can do video chat, but you can't touch someone, you can't hug someone. So with this,
Oh, sure you can. No. I've seen people do it all the time. You put a little asterisk, you say hug, and then you put another asterisk, and then they know you've sent them a hug.
it's so important for human communication to touch and hug each other.
So Justin Timberlake brought sexy back. You're bringing hugs back.
That's right.
How does this replicate a real hug?
And if you just give a hug.
My expert hug?
Yes. We did a study of expert huggers such as yourself,
Okay.
and where you put your hands is where we put our special hugging actuation system on the body.
Hugging actuation system.
So this system here
Yeah.
will replicate the feeling of where you
So
are.
it's going to apply some pressure where my hands would be.
Exactly. It gives a kind of feeling of the human hand caress
Okay.
on your body, on the body.
Let's see it work.
With Nancy far, far away in another location, Adrian takes out a controller and transmits his virtual hug via the internet.
And then you can see that this hugging pajamas connected to the internet produces the hug in the same spot. We can both wear such jackets, and then interactively we can have a hugging and caressing together through the...
Okay, so you get the idea of the hugging pajama. We wanted to make a smaller version of that system, so we made a device called Ring U. So instead of wearing a jacket, which is a little bit impractical for today's world, maybe not in the future, but you can wear a ring, and with the ring you squeeze the ring, and then your friend will feel a squeeze on his or her finger. And you can connect this to your social networks and then send a mini hug to the ring of your friends on your social network. Here's the picture of the ring. It's a little bit big because we still have to optimize the electronics, but that's the basic size. And we also looked at not just remote hugging and touching, but even remote kissing. And we made a device called the Kissinger, which is a high fidelity interface for transmitting remote kiss through the internet. And it can be used for friends and for family. And here is a picture of the system here. So basically you connect the device to your mobile phone, and then you can put the device on your mouth and then send a virtual kiss through the internet. So as an example, let's say a father and daughter, and the daughter has just received a scholarship to university, and then the father can send a virtual kiss through the internet to congratulate her. Here's a video of the system.
So this is Kiss Messenger, or Kissinger for short. With this device here has pressure sensors to measure the pressure from your lips.
So you can experience the pressure of a simultaneous bidirectional snog.
Yes, that's right, yes. But through the internet.
That's amazing.
You can be separated by thousands of kilometers and kiss each other.
Kissinger is a great way to bond with the parents and children when you're away at work overseas. We have high precision force sensors that are embedded under the silicone lip to measure the dynamic forces at different parts of your lips during a kiss. And the device will get this data from your lips and send it to your phone, which will in turn transmit the data to your partner through the internet in real time. We also have miniature linear actuators that are used to produce the same lip pressure on your partner's lips, and your partner will be able to kiss you like a real-time kiss through the internet. You can have a video call with your partner and use Kissinger as a way to connect to your partner through the internet in an intimate way. Research has shown that touch is a very important interaction, especially for human relationships. And through the internet, you can only see or hear from your friends and families, but you can't really touch them. With Kissinger, you can actually have a video chat with your friends and families over the internet and kiss them at the same time. It's a great two-way interaction and it feels like a real kiss.
So now I want to talk about the final topics of taste and smell with related to augmented and virtual reality. Now, we often don't think about taste and smell for virtual reality, but it's actually taste and smell are very important because they are very much related to the emotion. This is because the olfactory bulb in the brain, which sorts sensation and perception, is part of the limbic system. And this links the taste and smell to emotional as part of your brain. So only the taste and smell directly connect to the limbic system. So that's why they are very important, because they can subconsciously trigger some memory or feeling. Therefore, we should try to be able to communicate by taste and smell through the internet. So now the problem, and one of the main reasons why we don't really have taste and smell systems, is that unlike sound and light, taste and smell are not radio waves. They're not light waves. They're chemical based, so we don't really know how to digitize chemicals, and therefore they're inherently analog. It's impractical to transmit chemicals. You can't transmit chemicals through wires over long distances like you can transmit electricity over long distances. So you have very big problem of scalability and almost no digital controllability for taste and smell. So therefore, this presents quite a lot of problems related to the virtual reality and internet. But people have been thinking about this for quite a long time, and in the 60s there was a patent for a device called Sensorama, and this had not only 3D telemotion, but also had aromas. You can see the aromas here. So I think this was one of the very early systems to have virtual reality and smell at the same time. Of course, it was early days in the 60s. It was analog, so a little bit early for its time. But I think you can trace virtual reality smell to this Sensorama system. So we developed a device which is called Chapter, and we actually worked with a Japanese company in Japan to make a device where you could transmit smell using the mobile phone. So here you can see some of the prototypes we made, and we got them smaller and smaller, and then it can be used on a smartphone. And here is the final version here, called which we sold in the Japanese market. I'll show you a video of this now.
Food is inseparable from the history of mankind. And now, 2013, introducing a whole new approach to food, tasting and savoring food with your nose. How to 1. Choose. 2. Insert. 3. Smell. 4. Eat. And that's all there is to it. So, are we ready to savor this? Let's say you're a student with no money. all you need is some white rice and your stomach will feel satisfied. Let's say you're a woman on a diet. Obviously, calories are not an issue when you're dining at Hana Yakiniku. Now, let's say there's a couple going out on a date. We're pretty sure this will help bring them closer. Get a taste of this radically new deliciousness that mankind finally managed to develop after 7 million years of continuous evolution. The Big Bang in yakiniku, savored with one's nose. Hana Yakiniku.
So we did some extension of this device with a restaurant in Spain. The Spain restaurant is called Mugaritz, and they contacted us. They wanted us to make a virtual reality version of their dishes. This is one of those Michelin star restaurants, and very few people can go there. It's first of all, it's very expensive, but also they maybe only have 50 seats in the restaurant. So the chef Andoni here with the glasses, Chef Andoni, he is very visionary, and he wanted to make a virtual reality version of his food, so that not just the people who visit the restaurant can experience it, but also people anywhere in the world using the smartphone. So we took some of the dishes and then we made cooking them as a kind of virtuality game on the smartphone. And when you cook the dish, then you smell the smells which we captured at the actual restaurant in Spain. And then we launched this product in Madrid Fusion several years ago, and it was successfully launched as a gastronomy product. We also worked on advertising. Some big companies like Oscar Mayer in the United States, they wanted to make a special version which would have the smell of their foods, and and when you have a alarm clock in the morning, you will smell the food, and hopefully you eat their food. So there's an advertising product. So they're pretty interesting devices that we made, but you probably have thought that there's one huge problem is that eventually the chemicals will run out of those devices, just like inkjet printers. So we decided to make devices which can electrically stimulate taste using only electrical signal. And so this device here is a device which you place on your tongue, and it stimulates the taste receptors in your tongue using only electrical currents. So it will never run out of chemicals. And then it can control the taste from your perceived in your tongue using electrical signals. Here's an early version of the device. And here's a video I want to show you.
I know you can't tell, but I am surrounded by the smell and taste of mustard and ginger in this hibachi grilled Japanese dinner. And while I tuck into my deliciously real food, Shiranjit is exploring the health benefits of digital taste.
Here at the Imagineering Institute in Malaysia, innovators are adding a fourth dimension to devices and gadgets beyond what we can see and hear.
To find out more, I've come to meet Professor Adrian Cheok, who reminds me of the 5 traditional tastes of salty, sour, sweet, bitter and umami.
Oh, I'm assuming that's umami.
A savoury taste which is often used as a flavour enhancer. Now, having limbered up my taste buds, I'm ready to go digital.
So let's try the electric taste machine.
Electric taste machine. So
That's right.
what's it all about?
Okay, well this device will stimulate your tongue only using electrical currents without any chemicals.
Right.
But it does it in such a way that it stimulates the taste receptors.
All right.
With normal taste, you have some chemicals on your tongue,
Right.
and it causes some ionization. And the next part is the electrical signal, which goes to our brain. This one directly stimulates those taste neurons, and you'll feel a virtual sour taste.
Sour taste. That's what I'm going to be
without
tasting.
any chemicals.
Okay. I'll try it now.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
Okay, your tongue's in between the electrodes, and I'm going to turn it on. And you should feel a sour sensation. Yeah, and now you can try a slightly different frequency, like more of a lemony taste.
Very interesting.
You can imagine in the future you can send taste signals without any chemicals.
Right.
So you can send it all over the world through the internet.
What's really interesting is I'm not tasting the metal, am I?
We deliberately use silver because silver and gold and some other metals have very little taste.
Professor Cheok and his team have also developed a thermal sweet machine. It stimulates the tongue through heat and thermal energy.
Great, let's try it out.
So have a seat. Yes.
Sure.
So this basically what you need to do is put your tongue under this silver electrode. Here we go.
Let's have a go.
You put your tongue there, and now I'm going to turn it on, and you can see you'll soon feel temperature change, and hopefully you also feel a sweet sensation. And this sensation comes around from the thermal sweet effect that we have.
You're right, there's a very subtle sweet flavour. We've tried out the ability to deliver the sour taste and now the sweet taste, but how are you working towards machines that could deliver other taste flavours?
Imagine the future, for example, salty, you have a fork or knife and you're eating like a steak and it's more salty without having salt, so it's healthier to have artificial salt.
If salt and sugar could be removed from diets, the health benefits would be enormous, but it might be some time before it takes off.
It was a peculiar experience, tasting without putting any food in my mouth. Now, once these technologies develop further...
Okay, so you get the basic idea. Finally, I want to talk about how we can have a digital smell, and the method is similar to our electric taste machine, but instead we put the electrodes into the nose, into the nasal cavity. Actually, now this was done before COVID, but this looks like a PCR test now. I'm sorry, but anyway, we put 2 electrodes into the nose, and then it produces electrical signals to excite the olfactory bulb, which produces virtual sensing and perception of smell in the limbic system. And I also want to show you a video of the system now.
The digital stimulation of smell is considered as a useful step in expanding technology related to multisensory communication.
Our previous work sampling can produce smell sensation, and it is based on chemical odor molecules. These chemical odorants are not possible to transfer through the internet. Further, they have several disadvantages such as lower controllability, expensive, need to be refilled, and complex. Therefore, we need to find new technologies to transfer and reproduce smell sensations. So in this project, we focus to develop a new interface that can induce a weak electrical pulses on smell receptors and produce smell sensations. We believe by using a weak electrical signals can excite the smell receptors and generate smell perceptions. The digital smell device is equipped with adjustable frequency and current to produce electrical pulses. The stimulation process is carried out by putting a pair of silver electrodes inside the part of the nose where it touches the olfactory nerves. Generally, the smell-sensitive receptors are located near olfactory bulb and nasal concha. Therefore, we stimulate smell receptor cells in this area to trigger smell-related perceptions in the brain. This electrode will be controlled by our special design circuit that can deliver few milliamperes of current pulses to the smell-sensitive cells.
In our study, about 1/4 of the participants reported perception of different kinds of smell sensation, such as fragrant, minty, sweet, and chemical smell. This result shows that there could be an electrical part to generate smell sensation in human through electrical stimulation. We hope in future we can develop interface where we can regenerate the smell sensation using this device. Digital regeneration of smell will be useful to several industries like augmented reality and virtual reality, entertainment, online marketing, and gaming, where people can create and share information related to smell. In medical industry, this research will be useful to treat patients who are suffering from medical conditions such as parasomnia and insomnia.
So as just mentioned, this system can be used for new types of content creation. So for example, it's now if you want to make a food, you have to cook it in the kitchen. But in the future, for example, children could program a new recipe composing different tastes of smells on a iPad, and then send that through the internet to their grandmother, who can then taste that recipe. So this is a sharing of food without any actual chemicals or physical foods. So that's the end of my talk. Thank you very much. Please get in touch with me if you have anything you want to talk about, any questions in future. But I'm happy to answer some questions now.
Okay, thank you, Prof. David, for that very, very amazing, up-to-date and innovative presentation about what's new in all the 5 sensory that we are using in our life. I have questions with me. I think the first one is from our Dean, Dr. Nurul Nisa. So her question is, how serious is the security, safety issue of these devices, and when do you think it will go global? Because she's really into it and she'll be an active user. Okay, so what is your answer?
Well, we haven't really looked at those issues actually, because it's still quite early days of this research, and we spent a lot of time on the basic engineering of these devices. So the electronics, the hardware, the programming of the software to control the signals. So this is really the at the level of the internet of 1960s or 70s. So it's very, very early days, and these issues will become important as this becomes more of a commercial product. But I think it will take a long time before we see these devices in the market. You know, remember that in the 1980s was when virtual reality really became a big buzzword, and everyone thought we will be living our lives in the virtual world, but it still hasn't happened. But just recently is the development of the metaverse, and just recently, you know, Facebook has said they're going to put huge amount of money to develop their metaverse. So it's 2020 now, so it's 40 years. So it just shows you that it can take a very long time before technology goes from the laboratory or university to the actual market. And I think these issues are very important, but we haven't looked at them yet. It's still too early.
Okay, Prof, I have the second question from Lim Jiaxiang. He's talking about if, let's say, virtual reality or mixed reality is going to be something that is going to be normal in the life of people who are living at this moment, because, you know, they cannot travel. So he's asking whether this technology will actually downplay the real thing, like people who are going to have experience climbing mountains and so forth. So
it's a very good question.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. It's a very good question. And a very good question. And the thing is that we already do live in a kind of virtual reality already. So you know, if you think about young children, they may only see, for example, some animals like lions or zebra. They might only see it on television, you know, watching National Geographic or something like that. So most 2-year-old or 3-year-old can understand what is an elephant, but maybe most 2 or 3-year-olds have not seen an elephant, at least not in the wild anyway, maybe at the zoo. So we already live in a kind of virtual reality, and this is, I guess, a next step of the virtual reality. And the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, has sped up what was, I think, was inevitable and was coming anyway. So maybe because of the coronavirus pandemic, we went fast forward on digital technologies. So, for example, many universities before said, "Oh no, we're not ready. We don't give virtual classes, and you know, you have to physically attend the lecture room." And suddenly, in March 2020, all the universities and all the schools in the world had to learn how to do classes through the internet. This was probably going to happen anyway in 2030 or 2040 or 2050, but the coronavirus pandemic sped up these changes. So there is still debate what will be the new normal after COVID. Nobody knows yet, because we're still in the middle of it, and actually maybe we're still far from even the middle of it, because you know, Omicron just came out last week, and so who knows how many years this will go on for. But the thing is, just like any big changes in society, like World War II, for example, had massive changes in society, and so I think the coronavirus pandemic also will have massive changes in our society, especially in terms of turning digital. I don't believe people will stop. You know, there'll still be people who want to experience, you know, climbing the real Mount Everest, you know, going to the real New York City, but not everybody. I mean, maybe I don't know what the percentage is, but maybe 60-70% of people feel it's enough to experience it in the metaverse, in the virtual world. But I think there still will be people who want to experience the real thing, and they probably will still be able to do so. So, you know, it's just like, even though we have internet, we still have television, we still have radio. I'm sure some of you still read newspapers, right? So all these technologies don't disappear. We still use them. So even though we may live mainly in a virtual world, there still will be people who will want to experience the physical experience.
You're on mute, Alex. You're on mute, Alex.
Can you hear me, Prof. Adrian?
Yes.
Okay, I have one question. It's regarding nowadays we have mixed reality, virtual reality. We are now looking at the merging of artificial intelligence, where you can actually have a mixed reality where they show the actual person take a photo or video and then convert it to anime, right? So what do you think? Is this the next technology that people are looking at?
Well, the computer graphics has come along so advanced that we cannot tell the difference now between computer graphics and the virtual reality. Computer graphics and the physical reality, right? So, in fact, there's many movies which we don't think have computer graphics. They're not like space films or Marvel, you know, Marvel films, superheroes. Just normal films now use computer graphics because it's cheaper than building sets, right? So I'll give you a very good example. The Oscar-winning movie from Korea, Parasite, 2 years ago. The house actually was not real. It was computer graphics, right? That's how real is the looking of computer graphics. So, you can check that out on YouTube. You can check out Parasite and the computer graphics, and you'll be amazed, right? You'll be amazed that actually that house is made up of mainly computer graphics. Some small parts were built, but mainly it's computer graphics. Yeah. So computer graphics has come to a point where it is more realistic than well, it is just as realistic as physical. So in the future, we may have combined this with AI. So now I guess you're pretty sure that this is really me, right? Adrian Cheok. But in 10 years' time, this might not be really me. I could be checking my email and I just put a virtual AI version of me to give this talk, right? So I think yes, soon, 10, 20 years time, especially through things like this, like Zoom or you know, the computer, you won't know if it's the real person or the AI of that person. So and also I could give, if I have an AI version of myself, I can make 100 different AI versions of myself, and I could do this talk 100 times every day at the same time. So yes, we are soon going to get to the point where we can't tell the difference between real people and AI, especially through this kind of, you know, through the internet or through virtual reality. The people then, and then, of course, in the physical world, of course, we can tell real humans because they are physical. But maybe in 100 years' time, we can't even know that either. because the robots will look so realistic, and we can't tell the difference between a robot and a human.
All right. I think we have two more questions before we call it a day. Okay. There's one question from about the technologies that you mentioned just now. Which technology is available, and how is the public's response to that technology that you mentioned earlier?
The number one thing you should all be looking at now is the metaverse, because we were research. I mean, well, when I was a teenager, I grew up in the 80s as a teenager, so everything was virtual reality. We thought it was going to come imminently, but it didn't. It took 40 years. But I believe the metaverse, you have so many big players like Facebook with billions of dollars to invest, right? And Amazon's getting into it as well. They also have billions of dollars to invest. So if I was a young student now, I would immediately be looking into the metaverse and how can I make money from the metaverse, right? This is virtual reality finally has come for real to our world, and it's still early days, but so because it's still quite early, there's still big opportunities to make money in this metaverse.
Okay, I want to wrap up here. Prof. Adrian, what would you like to say to our
Yes.
participants today regarding what you have presented?
Sorry?
What would you like to say to the audience?
Oh, okay.
Whether
right.
it's current or in future on your technology.
Well, I think basically I've said what I wanted to say. So two take-home points is, one, look up on metaverse and think, how can you make money from the metaverse? And two is to think AI will take over everything soon. We will not know the difference between human and AI. So that's my two take-home messages for today. And it's been great to talk to you, and really, really great to see you all there in Malaysia.
Yeah, okay. Great, Prof. Adrian, to have you here for this interesting and amazing webinar. All right, we're going to have a photo session. Okay, everybody hold on. I'm going to pass to Shawal.
Can everyone turn on their camera? Okay, yeah. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's take one more. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Wait, something happened. Oh my God, my computer doesn't want to take picture. Okay, let me. 1, 2, 3. Okay, done.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Shawal, for that photo session. Thank you very much, Prof. Adrian Cheok. I hope that we'll meet again next week on the MOU.
Yes.
Do email me and update me on that. Okay,
Great.
thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Goodbye from Australia. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof. Bye-bye.